Welcome, everyone, to the next edition of Unscripted and Unstoppable. I am your host, Laureen Quick. This month, we are exploring expression. Expression in the sense of letting what's true take form. Because often, what's hardest to express is also what is most true. And right at that edge, there is usually fear. Not a loud fear necessarily, but maybe a quiet fear, the kind that asks, what will happen if I am really seen? Today, I am joined by Janice Burt. She is the creator of the One Fear per Year journey and the Chasing Courage movement. Janice is also a speaker, author, and television host who helps people choose for themselves courage over fear. Her work is rooted in one powerful idea that courage is not something that we wait to feel, but rather it is something we choose by walking through our fear. But in this conversation, we're going to even go a layer deeper. And ultimately, I want to ask, what if fear isn't something to overcome, but something that's protecting what is ready to be expressed? We will talk today about how to choose the right fear, how to listen to what's calling you forward, and what begins to shift when you allow more of your truth to take form. If something in you has been asking to be expressed, but you've been holding back, this conversation is for you. So let's begin. Janice, I just am going to jump right in and ask my first question today. You've been living the idea of one fear per year for many years now. Can you take us back to the moment that began as a journey for you?
Yes. It began on my bathroom floor, that proverbial, like you're curled up in the fetal position, sobbing your eyes out on the bathroom floor kind of thing. I
Mhm.
was going through a divorce. I'd been married 14 years, got married when I was 20, so really young. He was my first everything. I was very codependent. So I just felt like everything was being stripped away and I was left with myself, and I didn't even know who I was or what I wanted, or anything. So on that bathroom floor in my rock bottomest moment, I remember just thinking, uh, there's all of this fear inside of me, and I felt it paralyzing me and just keeping me stuck, and things that for years I had wanted to do or wanted to pursue, or truth that I had wanted to speak, and that I felt just so paralyzed and stuck in being able to speak it. So I made a choice, and I didn't know exactly how I was going to do this at that moment, but I made a choice to do one thing every single year that just ripped me out of my comfort zone, because I knew that since fear was controlling my life, that the only way was through it. And so I was just going to have to start facing all of my fears. And that was about 14 years ago now, 13, 14 years. So I have this list of all of these different activities that I've done that trigger fear within me, and we can talk more about that. But I love encouraging people now to walk through those fears that are holding you back, because right on the other side is your greatest gift, is a treasure, is your best life. It's all of like the beautiful, juicy stuff is right on the other side.
Well, and I have to ask because I'm dying of curiosity. What was the first big fear that you addressed that first year?
The first year was a marathon. Actually, not true. It started out as half a marathon.
Uh-huh.
And then because I had started training, and the reason this was such a big fear, even though I have always been a fairly active person, there was something about running where I would just look at these people running for miles on end and go, how do they do that? Because I would run around the block and get that side cramp and felt like I couldn't catch my breath. And so I'm thinking they have a secret or there's something going on that all of these people can run for 13 miles or 26 miles or whatever it is. So what am I not seeing? And but it was fear really holding me back of even wanting to find out how people ended up running for those long periods of time.
And if you think back to that time, what did you realize about the role of fear playing, how it was playing out in your life from that first experience?
That it's this big emotion, it's this big voice, that like tells us things that are not necessarily true.
Mhm.
And so to walk through it, I was like, okay, what I need to do is join together with people who already know it's possible, whatever this thing is that I want to do, and the fear of failure. Like, am I even going to be able to finish this marathon or half marathon? But I thought if I get together with people who are already doing it and they already know the tricks and the secrets, then I can learn something from them. I'll be motivated by them and then I'll be able to do it. So that's one of the main things I tell everybody is you don't do this alone. The walking through fear journey is not a solo venture. Ultimately, you are the one who's making the choice to get up every morning and join your training group or to make the phone call to your mentor or to, you have to make that choice, but always do it with at least one other person that is there in your corner cheering you on, giving you instructions, just doing it alongside you.
It takes a community,
Yes.
right? At some level, I'm sure the better the community, the bigger, not even the bigger, just the higher quality community that you're in will guarantee your success.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which could also be a fear, is just being in a community. But
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
when you choose a fear each year, is it really about the action or is it something deeper that wants to be expressed in you for that particular year?
For me, let things pop up in life or things just do pop up in life. And when something catches my attention, or if there's something that I hear or I see, and I feel that feeling, or I have that thought of, oh my goodness, that's terrifying, or oh my goodness, I could never do that. In that instant, I know that's probably the thing that I'm going to do. For instance, one of the years I was at my gym taking a spin class from this Brazilian woman, and she had accent and she was so energetic and so cool. So we're riding on the bike, and she's like, and I'm here at the gym, every day because I am training for a bodybuilding competition. And she starts talking about this bodybuilding competition. And in my mind, I go, that's terrifying. I don't think I would ever. And then I just caught myself right there because I've been doing this one fear per year journey for
Uh,
like 6 years up until that point. So in that moment, I knew, dang it, that's going to be the fear in this upcoming year.
it's almost like don't think of anything that you're afraid of because you might have to end up doing it.
Yeah, or that little small voice inside of you, that intuitive nudge towards certain things that are scary, that do trigger that sense of fear within you, but that at a deeper level, you're being nudged toward that or prompted to do something. Those are the things I feel like are the most special when we can um, build that courage muscle. And when we feel that feeling of fear, but we do the thing anyway, like I said, the feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of self-respect on the other side of that is is amazing. It's undescribable. And so, yeah, another point that I would love for people to know is it's not about the outcome per se. And that takes so much pressure off. So in my mind, I go, I'm going to walk through this fear. I'm going to do whatever the activity is. But it doesn't matter if I win or if I lose or if I fall on my face or if I start shaking or if I do it horribly or if I do it brilliantly. That part does not matter because my only goal is to walk through fear. So I've already won. If you start doing that, the one fear per year journey, you've already won just by looking fear in its eyeballs and walking straight through it, doing the thing, no matter what the outcome is, you've already won.
I love that. You've won when you say yes, and it's not about performance.
Yeah.
It's it's about the effort. Did you put in, I'm imagining here, did you put in a sincere and genuine effort at this activity, whatever it is,
Yes.
whether you fail, succeed, do or don't, it doesn't matter. It's that you attempted, that you pushed yourself to your limits. And success is never guaranteed for in anything, right? So don't measure yourself on something that becomes whimsical almost. Sometimes it's just luck, right? Yeah.
And in a lot of the things I've done, it's been a mixed bag. It's some things I have had an outcome that you would say is a good quote unquote outcome. In other things, I've had things where you would look at it and people would say from the outside looking in, oh, that was a bad outcome. But you know what? I learned and I grew and I evolved through each one of the things that I've done and I've transformed myself. So I'm like, good, bad. I mean, it's all amazing because we're here to grow. We're here to expand ourselves. And as long as I'm learning things along the way, growing, opening up my heart more and more, learning how to be in relationship with people in a more regulated way, I'm like, hey, we're doing good.
It's working. So when you think back to all of those different fears that you've tackled, what are some of the truths, if you're willing to share, about yourself that were waiting underneath those fears? What did you learn? How did you expand?
Oh my goodness. I mean, so many ways. Like some of the fears were, I guess, things like you would have to perform, right? A speech competition or the bodybuilding competition, things like that. Um, some, though, were like one year it was to learn how to sit in stillness and just be with myself, which was terrifying. Probably one of the bigger fears of fear of coming face to face with my pain, with the wounds from my past, from my childhood, core wounds, things like that. And so to do that, I actually went away. I signed up for a yoga teacher training because I knew there was going to be a meditative part of that where we would have to learn how to meditate. And so for 2 weeks, every morning, we woke up and as a group, we would sit outside and meditate. And I, up to this point, had not had a practice of just sitting in stillness. I was always like, oh, my phone, what can I watch on TV? Let me get out of here. I mean, constantly running from myself, I would say. So the first day we started with 8 minutes, and she would never tell us how long we were going to sit there. It was just, you're here, you're with a group of people, this is what we're doing. So it was 8 minutes the first day, and at the end, it ended up being 28 minutes was the longest that we sat and just sat in stillness. And I kept a journal of that entire time. So every day we would sit and write down what came up for us, what it felt, what we saw, what all of that. And looking back at those entries, it's amazing because some days it was like heaven opened up and I had these amazing revelations and I'm just like, oh, life and peace and joy. And other days it was like, I feel like I'm going to crawl out of my skin. I'm devastated. I'm sobbing. I'm feeling all those things. But that is life. And so it allowed me to be in that place of the joys and the deepest lows and just being present for all of it and accepting all of it.
Wow.
So, I mean, amazing revelations, just learning to be with self, learning to come back to myself every day, learning to love myself, which is a huge thing. So, and I have stories like that for every single fear that I've walked through.
Wow. Well, many women who, especially when they're over 50, they're not necessarily afraid of doing hard things because they've done a lot of hard things, but they do have a fear about being seen in a new way. Have you noticed that in your journey as well?
Oh yeah. I think anytime we're leveling up on some level, there's that fear of how are people going to view me? I mean, that's a
Mhm.
fear. I don't care if you're a teenager or you're in your 70s or something. A lot of people struggle with this. What are people going to think about me? How are people going to view me? If I mean, you hear it so much if you're hanging out with a bunch of drinkers and partiers, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to get sober. I want to live, a cleaner, more aligned life.
Mhm.
Well, you're going to piss some people off, or people are going to call you snobby, or people are going to say you've changed. And guess what? Yeah, it's because you have changed. And so, uh, they're in different seasons of our life. I think there are just different people that are going to gravitate toward us and that we're going to gravitate toward depending on the level of growth. So I would say that's not a bad thing per se. It can hurt because anytime there's a change or yeah, a loss of a friendship for whatever reason, there can be some pain involved. But like I said before, growth is the reason we're here. And so our soul is going to feel like even if there's some pain in losing friends that aren't wanting to grow as much, there's more alignment and more joy and more peace. And so we're gonna want to choose that. And then people that are doing the same things in their lives we're gonna recognize each other and be like, hey, let's hang out. We're conquering, we're walking through fears together. We're wanting to live our best life. We're wanting to be aligned. We know what our values are. So let's do this together.
So it's that just trusting the process. And I think it's when you grow, you sometimes that's scary for other people.
Yeah.
And so their best strategy is to try to sabotage you in ways that make you go back to being who you were. And then when you don't do that, then they don't know what to do with you because you're in a relationship with people that creates a dynamic. And when you change, the dynamic changes. So then what you just said makes total sense to me as well. Just relax, be curious about all of that, and wait. Because the people that you want to connect with, the people that are growing and changing like you are, they will find you. You will find them, and you will have a not only new friends, new connections, but you will have connections that support and love you for what you're doing and who you are
Yes. Yeah,
versus who I want you to be and what I expect you to be.
exactly. And take, for example, a people pleaser. People are used to, like you said, that dynamic of you bending over backwards for them. Anytime they need your help, you're going to be there. But then if you ever need them, they're nowhere to be found, you know. And if you start realizing, oh, this is a pattern and this relationship isn't mutually beneficial, and you change and you start distancing yourself, or you might even have that conversation, um, they're like you said, it's uncomfortable. People are gonna be like, well, and maybe what good are you to me now that I can't use you?
Yeah,
And then they decide to maybe find another people pleaser that they can do that. But guess what? You're free now to not have to deal with people that are taking advantage of you and not being grateful and not having a truly mutually beneficial relationship.
absolutely. It's hard, but it's something that it's part of the growth process.
Yeah.
So when you are looking like when you enter 2026, as you move into 2027, how do you choose the right fear, the one that's going to expand you rather than overwhelm you?
That's that's a good question because a lot of people look at what I do and they think, "Ooh, but you got to start smaller." Or, maybe people want to start smaller. And I understand that. And actually, I feel like it works though with the one fear per year journey because you you have, yes, a big goal at the end or a big activity or whatever that thing is that you want to do is pretty big, but you have time. That's why I love the year concept. And loosely, whatever. I'm not like, it has to be like,
December 31st, I have to have this
yeah,
done.
yeah, it's not like that. So you also want to flow with life and let things flow, and that's beautiful to do that instead of being super rigid about it. But for me, it's like I said, I remain open. You know how they say it's the reticular act, what's that called? The reticular or the I forget what it's called, but it's basically if you hear about a red Honda, then all of a sudden you start seeing the red Hondas
Uh-huh.
around. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, I'm going to be walking through a fear. So your brain is kind of just scanning around, going, I want to be open. What's the next thing? What's that thing that internally maybe I want to do, but I feel that inner resistance? So being open to it like that, and then you just kind of you're aware of it and things pop up. I mean, it's pretty amazing how life just it will
Offers
give
you all
you
kinds of opportunities.
yes. So it's not something you necessarily have to struggle with. Like you're gonna know, oh, that thing scares me, or um, you know. So as far as the not being overwhelmed, though, you think of whatever the activity is, and then you can reverse engineer it. So you are taking small steps to then get to the big fear that you're walking through, the big event, activity, whatever the thing is. So it can be like, for instance, one year I did a stand-up comedy routine. So that seems like a very big thing, right? It's like, that's a big thing. But I didn't just from one day to the next go and perform a stand-up comedy routine, there are a lot of little fears that you walk through until you get to the big activity. So it is kind of like baby step, baby step, baby step, baby step, prep work, like you're getting yourself ready, and then it's the day of the stand-up comedy routine. But see that even that, what I loved about that stand-up comedy routine is it was a group of all women. It was during COVID times, so it was all online. And it was taking a trauma in your own life and reframing it through the lens of comedy. So it kind of was a therapeutic slash I'm walking through fear slash self-awareness, learning about myself slash community of women together. So it had all these great elements to it that yes, when it was time to present their routine and all these unfamiliar faces were there and we had to do our thing, there's that level of, oh my gosh, this is really scary. But because we had built something step by step together, you have that support. Other people are doing it with you. And so you feel uplifted kind of naturally in that space. I'm telling you, it's so life changing to do this. And it really just starts with being intentional. Like, I don't want fear to hold me back. I can tell it's keeping me small, it's keeping me stuck. It's holding me back from expressing my truth, from saying things I want to say, doing things I want to do. So I'm intentionally looking for something that I can do to build my courage muscle.
And just like that red Honda, it will show up.
It'll show up.
It'll show up.
That's,
And it'll probably keep showing up.
yeah, and that's the trusting of it. And you're right, it will keep showing up because the things that we resist persist.
Boy, don't they.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, great. So, if there was someone listening who feels the pull to express something, but also feels that fear, it has hesitation, what would you invite them to begin or start? How do they get going on this?
Yes, I would say start by journaling, start by writing things out, just you, yourself, and the paper, but actually writing things out, whatever that expression, the truth that you want to come out. Start by journaling. That's how I would start. I also am a huge proponent of um, therapists and mentors and life coaches, people that can really just hold space. They're really good at doing that. So that there's some processing that goes along with that. Uh, One of the early on things that I did was I self-published a memoir that had some family secrets, kind of, so to speak, about like my dad and his some past indiscretions with him. And I felt like those were poison to my soul, and that I somehow was holding those, was responsible for his behavior. And it was so kind of hush hush, even though, my family knew about his past indiscretions and the extended family knew, but it was still really, it was just this hush hush thing. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done holding people's secrets and doing all that. So I'm just going to put it out there in a book, which is terrifying. But I needed to do, I'm not saying everybody needs to do this at all, but it was my way of really putting my foot down in a sense and saying, this is my life now. This is my voice, and I want to express these things at least on paper, right? I wasn't yet comfortable saying it into a microphone or speaking, those things, but I could write it and I could just put it out into the universe. And before I actually self-published, I had a conversation with my dad and also my ex-husband because there were some things in there about our relationship and things like that. And I didn't ask for permission,
Mhm.
but I did say, and these were really hard conversations, especially for a people pleaser, which is why I knew I had to do it. And I just said, I need to do this for my own healing. And I understand if you're not going to want to talk to me, because that was one of a big fear. One of the fears was they're not going to want to have anything to do with me. I'm going to disappoint them. They're going to be angry at me. I'm going to be known as the worst human being for airing dirty laundry and stuff like that. And, but like I said, it was that intuitive nudge, like a little prompting thing that I just personally couldn't ignore for my own life. So having those conversations and saying, I just want you to know this is what I'm doing. These are some of the things that I'm going to be talking about or exposing, I guess. And um, yeah, so I had those conversations with them. But everybody's journey is going to be different with that kind of stuff. But I would say talking to a therapist, writing things down, really just figuring out for yourself what that path looks like.
Even talking to yourself,
Yeah,
right? So that it is a spoken, it's out,
yeah,
whether anyone else hears it or not. So to me, that those are baby steps where you keep this inside yourself and maybe bring it out a little bit into your life and see how that feels first. And then it can get bigger as it naturally will.
totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here's the thought. And I find this actually kind of inspiring to me, or thought provoking, I guess is what I would is the better word. What if we reframe this idea of one fear per year to one truth per year? How do you think that would change the challenge or open things up? Or would it? Is it the same thing?
I think it's so the fear is to build the courage muscle. I think a truth is to build that alignment muscle, like to really get totally in alignment uh, with ourselves too. Because what I've found in my own life is some of the harder truths have been about myself, like self-awareness. And that's hard. Our main go-to is to blame, is to look at other people and judge them and criticize them, and this is how they're wrong. And what the harder thing to do and the most transformative is to take a mirror and hold it up, and from a place of love, which this is the tricky part, because sometimes we do that and it's just self criticism, self hate, instead of this self awareness with love. And I want to know and see these patterns about myself so that I can grow and change and become the best version of me. Not, I want to see these patterns in myself so that I could just slam it like you're the worst ever, and be so mean to myself. It's not to beat myself up. It's to grow. It's to change. It's to love more. It's to be who we are truly meant to be in this world while we have the gift of breath in our bodies. And for me, that switch happened because I was very self-critical, very. And so anytime something would come up, like, oh, I started to see that I was insecure, but it was like, oh, how could you be insecure? That's the worst trait anybody could have, And then it would be like a beating myself up over it. What
Mhm.
changed for me was when I I had this I did this exercise with my inner child. So my inner little Janice. And that was just me when I was a teenager, looking back at how uncomfortable I felt in my own skin and with sexuality. Everything felt uncomfortable. I would wear really baggy clothes. I wouldn't wear any makeup. But I would notice that all my friends would do that and they would get all the boys' attention. And so there was this simultaneous, like, I'm scared of that. And yet I really want that. Like, to be attractive to boys. But then that was also very scary. So I would push it away, but also, so as soon as I'm looking back objectively at the things that I went through growing up and everything, that each person knows their life story, right? So you can look back at that little you, and when you see that little you through the lens of compassion and objectively, like, I go, oh, poor little Janice, like, dealing with this and people saying this and your dad being this and your mom, like, all these different things. Well, yeah, I could see why you would struggle with insecurity and feel jealous and feel all these things. As soon as I loved that little me, oh my gosh, it was like, it just, everything changed. Everything changed. Instead of rejecting myself and hating myself, I just loved myself. I was like, Janice, come here. And it's when we learn how to parent ourselves the way we wished we would have been parented, how to love ourselves the way we wish we would have received love. Man, it just changed everything.
And I think listening to all that you just shared with us, this idea of one fear a year, it causes you to see yourself more clearly. It causes you to face your truth.
Yes.
And then ultimately, because of that, I believe you begin to realize you are a wonderful human being, right? And you can say, I love you. I have compassion for you. I understand where you've come from, and I love you.
Yeah.
So it's really one fear per year really is also one truth per year, if not more, right? Because it gives us insights into who we are and,
Absolutely.
and allows us to begin to love ourselves.
Yes. It's
Yes.
deeper. It goes deeper, which I love that question. I've never been asked that before. And yeah, I really I like that because it is a a tweak. It just makes it deeper. You go deeper with that.
Well, and it's kind of like how poetry works for me. It's sort of like if I address one fear in me, that is easier for me to do honestly than to identify one truth about me. But the fear
Mm,
will lead me to that truth. And so
yes.
I get both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Janice, thank you. This has been an amazing conversation. I truly appreciate your honesty, your warmth, and the way that you invite us to relate to fear with, so much more compassion and with courage. So thank you for being here today and giving your time and your wisdom, sharing that with us. For those of you listening, if something in this conversation resonated, I would encourage you to connect with Janice, sorry. You will find links to her in the show notes. So please click on those links and make a connection. And as you leave this conversation, I would also maybe invite you to just carry this little thing with you. What in your life is asking to be expressed that you have been holding back? You don't have to answer it all at once, not right away. Just stay in relationship with that. Just open that door. And I think that in a season of transition, this is a really important question to be asking yourselves. because we're in between roles, we're in between responsibilities, we're in between identities, even and ways of being. So this question is kind of like asking, where are all the red Hondas that Janice talked about earlier? What what has been asking to be expressed? What have I been holding back? And if that is a question that you want to delve deeper in, I do also want to extend an invitation to you to attend in July the Next Chapter Summit, where the focus is going to be on independence after 50. This is a virtual gathering that you'll find information about in the show notes as well. And I think it will help you to begin to reflect on your own inner authority and the freedom that comes when you begin to face your fears and allow your truth to emerge. Again, you can learn more about that in the show notes to this episode. And then, as always, I want to thank all of you, my listeners, my viewers, for being here, for being willing to let what is true for you take form. Thank you, everyone.